Hello and welcome to Advertisers Watching Ads. My name is Tom Ollerton. I'm the founder of Automated Creative, and this is a weekly show where brands watch other brands' ads and discuss what they like about it or not. We are brought to you each week by Contagious, our partner who has sourced the ads for us. So thanks to those guys. Go to contagious.com to find out more about that brilliant business. So before we get to this week's ad, let's meet this week's guests.
Hi everyone, I'm Olga Rubanovskaya. I'm the marketing director for Reckitt Hygiene in Israel.
Hi, I'm Barbara Liss. I'm the vice president of marketing for Merrick Pet Care based in Chicago.
Hi, Arnaud Fronty. I'm a global marketing brand manager in PepsiCo based in between France and New York.
Yeah, so we got France, Chicago, and Israel today, and it's very, very early in the morning for some of our guests. So thank you for making such a huge effort. Right, let's see the ad.
Watch me move. 1, 2, 3, jump up and in 1. Watch me move. I'm loving it. Watch me move. Yeah, watch me move. Watch me move. Watch me, yeah, watch me move. Move.
Barbara, it may be 6 a.m. in Chicago, but what was your reaction to that ad when you saw it?
I think the ad is really, it's eye-catching. I think it's disruptive. I think there's really strong music. You're curious from the beginning. I liked it. I mean, it catches your attention. It touches you, and you're intrigued from the beginning.
At the beginning, you don't clearly understand what's going on, and at some point you understand, okay, this is a purpose-driven communication. And I was actually, on my side, I was actually surprised because usually these type of ads are focused on one minority or one thing, and when you're not part of the minority, you could not totally relate. On this one, you can actually relate and say, okay, if these guys are doing it, I can move my body and go to the gym or do whatever. So it was actually a pretty well-built ad for everyone, the whole target.
I agree. I found it very motivational and very exciting. It was very engaging. I really wanted to keep watching until the end. And I agree with Arnaud, like the insight is so right and it's relevant to everyone, not just for disabled people or not just for anybody else. It's relevant for all of us. I guess disabled people just suffer from this more, but I'm sure there are also people who feel a bit out of shape or a bit not like they want to see their body, and then that prevents them from moving, working out. The only thing that I thought to myself at the end is the whole thing about branding, because I actually didn't see any branding up front. So the only moment that I saw the brand was in the end. And yes, like the V is a highly recognizable V. But then I always ask myself if I see it as a marketeer. So I know brands much more, I recognize logos. But this one specifically for me left me with a question mark about the balance between purpose and branding, because I strongly believe that purpose is important, but it has to drive the brand.
I agree that the branding probably could have been stronger, and it's certainly a fine balance when you're trying to be message driven. We as marketers are like, oh, we don't want to seem totally self-serving. And so that is the trick, I think, when you're doing marketing like this, is how do I, at the end of the day, it is a business and we're trying to drive branding and profit, but that's a really fine line. Yeah. But at least I felt that their purpose is incredibly driven or tied very tightly to what the product is. Oftentimes companies find a purpose, like you have to move, you sweat, you get out there. But so I thought the connection was there. And as a brand that probably has a high awareness within their target, I think they can get away with it. But I agree with you, Olga. If you don't know it. The other thing that I really like that you mentioned, that people can see themselves in this, it's not just if you're moving or dancing or going to the gym. But candidly, for a minute, I went, do I judge? Will I look at somebody who is maybe different than I am? And could this ad cause me not to do that? I'm certainly not perfect. And so I thought in that instance, like, it's really powerful if they can achieve both of those things, to motivate people as well as to get people to stop and think how they treat others.
I think if we can say that this ad, and probably it's also Unilever behind it, with Dove, with all the other brands that they activate in the same way, they have a way to do two ads at the same time, one more equity driven and one more product driven. This works as a whole campaign. When you look only at this ad, I would be like you guys, I would say, okay, this is amazing, I get the purpose, but yeah, probably missing a lot of branding, even a product, because I'm not sure the purpose intent would be high about that. But it's a whole system, it's an ecosystem. And we know, I don't know if you've seen, but they launched an actual roll-on packaging made and co-created with handicapped people. The what we call big brand idea is basically movement is a human right, and you should not, you should be allowed to have this right and use it. And they're just trying to show the different barriers to this right. Sometimes it's more self-doubt, sometimes it's more, I don't know, society. It could even be COVID at some point, gym being closed and everything. But here it's also like judgment and potentially also like physical issues. But no, this is not a barrier. You're breaking through it. And Rexona is helping you do that. It's kind of like it's uplifting you to this.
Well, that's where this consumer insight comes in, so handy, because once it's a universal consumer insight that works for almost everyone, if not everyone, the execution is specifically focused on disabled people, but it's really a universal consumer insight, then it's much easier for target audience to engage and makes it much more believable. And for me, just to say what Barbara mentioned before, that maybe you judge, maybe you can be on either end of this equation. You could be the one who feels judged, but maybe you sometimes judge as well. Just raising the awareness of this, for me, that already does it. To self-check myself and also to feel more confident, that if I don't perform well in the gym, nobody's judging me, I'm there. That's already good.
I do think the fact that they put that out there lends a ton of credibility to this. And it does make you stop and think that it's not just actors and they're not just trying to be sexy and tug at your heartstrings. Like it made it more real to me to see that.
Maybe not in this specific ad, but like in the future, maybe some sort of aspiration or vision of where we want to get to, like through this movement, not just to enable, because if you build, what you said, Tom, stadiums or sports facilities, some people can make it, but how do you make it actually accessible to everyone? And if you could start a movement and say, let's fight it together, let's fight, judgment and stereotypes on the one hand, and let's enable more people on the other hand, and let's go from 46 to 30%. It's not to zero. For me, that would be like a very aspirational way to evolve the campaign as well.
What I like also is that they didn't use, and we've seen that in Degree and Rexona has done it, they use athletes that go to the Olympics or whatever tournaments. This time it was people doing their own stuff, their passion every day. It was more real. So in a way, it was less about using this issue to bring a point about judgment in the gym and all. I think it was more genuine and more linked to, whatever is out there in the society. I didn't feel bad about, greenwashing, or probably, I don't know how to call it, but washing something on the Unilever side. Yeah, it made sense.
So guys, we unfortunately are at the end of the episode, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to count to three, and on a count of three, I want to vote with your fingers how good you think this ad is. So 1, 2, 3. So 5 and 2 4s. That is a high scoring ad for Unilever. Congrats, guys. Olga, Barbara, Arnaud, thank you so much for being our guests this week.